people get so caught up on these like little word differences that mean nothing.
I actually think in this game the attack was more of the problem. Like, it was just so dodgy going forward.
They were all over the place. It was like they'd never played together. And yeah, it was embarrassing.
Welcome back to Monday Vibes, one and all. As you can see, we're at Sky. It's Doogie Critchley, it's Zachary Jalab. It's international break, so we don't have loads to talk about today, but we are going to be discussing, England, Germany. We'll also talk about Anthony as well, so stay tuned for all of that good stuff. Doogie, how was your weekend?
It was good, thank you. It was good. It was quite chilled. Went out for dinner on Friday. Did Saturday social on Saturday, which was good fun.
Yeah, you were good?
It was good fun, yeah. I always think it's always interesting going on those shows with other people that are outside of the Football Daily echo chamber, because people think very differently. Yeah. And I think we often, because we work together and we talk about football all the time, we end up maybe having similar opinions. Whereas you go on a show like that, and I just couldn't believe some of the stuff I was hearing.
Being blown away.
I saw the striker list. Jesus Christ! I mean, maybe put it on the screen right now. Let us know what you think of it in the comments below, because there are some big decisions.
They wanted Gabriel Jesus in like tier C.
I don't understand the Gabriel Jesus slander. I mean,
but this is why we said on Sunday Vibes. On Sunday Vibes, Pat was saying that Gabriel Jesus is really underappreciated. Yeah. We were kind of sitting there being like, is he? And then that happened.
Well, it was
like, oh, maybe he is.
They were Charleston
at all. Yeah, well, exactly, and they didn't appreciate the fact that Gabriel Jesus was injured for lots of last season. They just kept up bringing up it as a goal tally, and I was like, he did miss about.
You're on with Specs, who obviously I guess Specs' kind of character does that quite a bit. But
actually, what I thought was interesting is because we had Jay Bothroyd on, who's obviously a former Premier League striker. His insight as a footballer is so much different to how we perceive Gabriel Jesus. He was just goal focused.
He's not a 9.
He was like, he's not a 9. He's not a 9. His argument was he'd rather play Gabriel Jesus left wing.
He also said Haaland was a great striker.
He wanted to play him over Martinelli.
He said what?
He didn't think Haaland was a great striker. He said he was a good goal scorer. Yeah. He's not a good striker.
Not one of the 5 best strikers in the world.
People get so caught up on these little word differences that mean nothing. That mean nothing. I mean, fair play.
But if you haven't already watched that episode of Saturday Social or seen that ranking tier list, then just search it on YouTube. You'll be able to find Doogie taking on Jay Bothroyd and Specs and me hosting it. So go and watch that. Zach, what did you get up to this weekend? Anything good?
I was at Roosters.
I was at Clapham High Street for a birthday on Saturday. I also went to #United as well.
What did you do there?
I was filming something for an app that they're not paying me to say it on here, so I'm not going to say it.
I respect that. Totally respect that. Who was the hashtag playing against?
They were playing against Kidderminster. They drew 2-2. I saw PK Humble play, who's really, really good at football. Really, really good at football. It was really hot as well. Would not want to be.
Was it on the Saturday?
It was on the Saturday. Yeah, would not want to be playing in that heat. But yeah, it was nice to go down there. It wasn't maybe as busy as it normally is because obviously the Sidemen game was happening. And I was meant to see Spencer, but he was there as well. But yeah, no, all good.
Yeah,
all good.
How was your big stump on Sunday?
Yeah, good. Yeah, nice long walk. Yeah, I mean, I have to say, I woke up at because you have to go quite early. Did this long sort of 20-kilometer walk. You have to go quite early, and I went out the night before. And did
you go after rugby?
Yeah,
or was it with the rugby?
Rugby ended up, what happens at the rugby. You just end up having a few beers, don't you? And I ended up 2 a.m. was in a really bad way when I got in, and then 7 a.m. Chloe was like, "Right, are you ready to go for this 20-kilometer walk?" I was like, "Oh, yeah."
Seven sisters."
Trying to pull myself together, but we did it. It was very enjoyable, as has the rugby been. But we're not here to talk about the rugby. We're here to talk about the football. So we'll start with England versus Ukraine, the 1-1 draw. What do we think? England versus Ukraine in Vauxhall?
Not amazing. Not great either, I think is the best. Sorry, not amazing, but also maybe not as bad as people have made it out to be. I will say, as someone who's defended, I think, Gareth Southgate a lot over the last 5 years of his tenure, obviously he's been there longer than that, I was disappointed by his squad selection. I thought this was maybe the time now where you can kind of move on from having
squad selection or team selection?
Team selection, sorry. Yeah, of having and starting Henderson and starting Harry Maguire, who's played less than 50 minutes of football this season.
Yeah.
Especially when it was we were sitting there on Sky Sports News last week kind of making our teams, and there were so many other guys you could have put in centre back who were worthy of that inclusion. Dunk's been fantastic over the last couple of years now and barely got any senior England caps. Tamori was there as well. Colwill too. And in the end he went with Mark Gahey, who I thought was really, really good. And Harry Maguire, who just I don't think is warranting a starting place in this England squad in a qualifier. It's not just a friendly, it's a qualifier. It means something, this.
I mean, what he said, wasn't it? I watched Southgate's press conference and he was quizzed as to why Maguire was getting picked. And, he said, with the amount of injuries we've got to the likes of John Stones, we just don't have the experience in the back line to afford not to pick Harry Maguire. But when Lewis Dunk's available,
if it means like England experience, I guess Lewis Dunk doesn't have much of that. However,
but you're never going to get experience unless you get given an opportunity.
But also Harry Maguire has no football fitness. Like football kind of match sharpness. So like both kind of equal each other out. It's a very odd decision. And then the Henderson decision as well was one that I thought he could have been playing a James Maddison in central midfield where he's been playing for Spurs instead of playing him on the left wing, which in the end kind of saw him a bit like neutralised. Really,
I thought that was the bigger issue than the back. Lots has been made of Maguire and Henderson sort of being issues for England, but I actually think in this game the attack was more of the problem. Like, it was just so stodgy going forward, and at the back we've been really solid recently. Before this game I don't think we conceded a shot on target in our last 3 matches, so very solid. And yes, the opposition may not have been of the calibre you'd be expecting to face at a Euros or a World Cup, but still, no shots on target over 270 minutes is impressive. So we can talk all we want about the back line, but the amount of talent we've got in the forward line not to be producing better chances and pressure building situations against Ukraine is just not good enough.
But do you not think that's like the issue because of what's happened here? Like, because Henderson was playing instead of where Maddison could have been playing, he would have been much more creative.
I think that's probably more the issue. I don't see a world where Rice, Bellingham, Maddison, when they're all fit, isn't the midfield three against Ukraine. When you're seeing Maddison play as a shuttling 8-4 Tottenham, you're seeing Bellingham play even higher than that for Real Madrid at times. Great Explain went out on the weekend on Football Daily to talk about how he's replaced Benzema's goal output. I think you've got to be playing that as a midfield three.
Wait, no, I think we actually did a Spurs Explain.
We did actually. That's coming out next week. Yeah,
get excited next week.
So get excited for that. I also made the thumbnail by accident before that.
Joe made it a week early.
Yeah, that's probably why. But like Rashford left wing, just like gotta be playing him, man. Yeah. I just can't. I just do not understand a world which Rashford doesn't start for England.
Yeah, I mean it does seem a little bit strange. I think the Henderson Maguire things probably goes down to the stuff that we can't see, like the leadership behind the scenes, the sort of intangibles that we don't get an opportunity to see, how they interact with their teammates, who leads the dressing room chats, etc. That sort of thing. And I think that's probably why they are being picked. But Henderson, it felt like a very easy opportunity to move beyond him, this squad. I could see why he went with Maguire because he is one of his favourites. But yeah, playing Maddison in not his correct position that he hasn't played so far this season, not using Eberechi Eze potentially. It just felt like you're missing out on opportunities. You're not picking the players that are in the best form right now in a game where you probably expect us to, at the very least, get a draw. So it felt like gambling a little bit more had a huge potential upside.
One of the things I find really odd as well is like Southgate has, throughout his time in England, and even beforehand when he was kind of working with the youth, has always been kind of willing to give sometimes these guys chances and let it happen for them, and especially when he first came in, because that's when he brought in Maguire and co, and then they became seniors. And it's almost like he hasn't kind of done it in preparation for the next guy, whoever might take over after the Euros. Like, there's no way that, there shouldn't be any way really, unless Harry Maguire has a huge change up or changes clubs in January or starts playing, that he should be starting at the Euros in under a year's time.
Yeah, so somebody else has got to be given the opportunity to get experience.
And how are they going to get that experience?
I don't understand.
He is very loyal to players that have served him well in the past. Like, even at the World Cup, I'm not even sure whether Jude Bellingham would have started the first game if Calvin Phillips wasn't injured.
Yeah.
Like, how different things could have been, because he wasn't really trusted at the Euros. I think he made like 3-4 substitute appearances for, totaling about 50 minutes, Bellingham. So, him taking that stage so easily, we could have seen other players do that. We could have seen Maddison be given a central role in this England side and blow Ukraine away, but we just weren't given the opportunity to.
Maddison himself, though, has been kind of not had the greatest time with Southgate in general, right? He's only had 4 caps now. But
I just don't understand why we're not trying things in this period. Like, he knows exactly what he's going to get from Harry Maguire.
Yeah,
he could.
And Jordan Henderson.
Harry Maguire is not going to play between now and really the Euro starting an awful lot, unless, like you said, he moves clubs in January. So what you're going to get from him. You know exactly how he's going to play, what his leadership position is going to be, the structure he's going to give you at the back. You don't need to see any more of him. You literally don't. So give Colwell a chance. If Colwell comes in and can offer you the same things and is playing weekly for Chelsea and is 22 and is like much more dynamic, surely that's only upside. Like with Maguire, it feels like, I don't want to bag on him because, I think a lot of the stuff that's written about Harry Maguire is a long way across the line. But, like, you don't need to see any more of him in an English shirt. You know what you're going to get from him. And if it comes to the time of the Euros and no other England centre-back has blown you away at that time, you can just revert to type.
Yeah.
It is worth saying as well that Ukraine scored with their only shot on target. Like, it wasn't a defensive disaster. England were well on top.
That was my point about the attacking problems, though.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, we had, I think, 68% possession, something like that. Didn't probably create enough clear-cut opportunities. I think our XG was over 1, but not significantly over 1. So, it was just a bit of a flat performance. Weren't able to build and sustain pressure in Ukraine's half. But ultimately, you know, we're still on track to qualify easily for this tournament and look in pretty good shape.
But I am interested to see what he does though for Scotland, like especially because these were the talking points that came out of that game, and now he has the
especially because it's a friendly.
Well, and now we also have the facts of like, look, we've seen what happened when you played Henderson and Maguire again. Like, give these other guys a chance. Plus, it's a friendly. Like, you need to be trying to see what Colwill can do, what Maddison can do in midfield, what even Eze could do by starting him and going from there.
Do you even need to start Kane against Scotland? I know it's a great chance to score a couple of goals, no disrespect to Scotland, but who are actually an amazing team.
Yeah, they're really good.
And, you know,
best goal scorer in Europe.
Game. Sorry?
Best goal scorer in Europe, right? It's got my top on it.
But, you know, you brought Nketiah up. You know, could you... Sorry, I think that's only just clocked that joke. You've brought Nketiah into the senior squad. Do you want to see Nketiah from the start? Do you want to see Callum Wilson start? You know, you're probably your first choice backup. You know, it feels like a good opportunity to try different things.
I think with Kane, though, it's a little bit different because he is still one of the best strikers. Like, he will start in the Euros. And so it's almost like you want to see him, how he could link up with, say, Eze if he was to play, rather than like Nketiah, who obviously is hugely deserving of his call up, and I'd like to maybe bring on as a substitute. I feel like you need to kind of see how Kane works with other players.
I get that, but then do you not also need to prepare for the worst case scenario, which is a Harry Kane injury in March, and you know all the backups have under 10 caps?
Yeah.
And go in really.
I guess it's both ways, right? It's both ways.
Tony back
available,
maybe.
Yeah, whether he
but
gets
I mean,
selected.
he's still he's got 2 caps, 3 caps.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of experience behind Kane. So
you do understand though why, like, it is whatever Southgate does, he can't please everyone.
Like, he's never picked the perfect 11 according to Twitter.
Yeah, exactly. So. And like, one player is going to be upset in one way, shape, or form. And obviously, when it gets to the Euros, we'll be talking all about again, like which right back goes and which centre mids go, and so on and so forth.
But surely we've just got
then,
like that has to be that done. Like, we have to start having pairings that you know are successful. Like Rice and Bellingham need to be playing together all the time.
I think that's kind of done.
Like, and I always think the same of like the fullback pairings. Like, right back, right wing needs to be playing together consistently. Left back, left wing. There's just, especially in the left wing spot, I think somebody's got to like lock that jersey down. Like,
I wasn't able to catch all of the England game. What did we think of Chilwell playing left back?
I think when Shaw's fit, Shaw's better.
Oh, okay.
Like, I do like Ben Chilwell, but I just think that Shaw, his physicality, like, does really offer you something.
Yeah, I
think he's a better passer from deep as well. I think Chilwell maybe picks up slightly better attacking positions. So
he's playing left wing, so
well, exactly.
That's probably why.
But also Shaw, I think his passing from deeper is really, really good.
No, that's interesting. I was just questioning, I guess, and then obviously, surely we all think if whoever's really fit is probably still Kyle Walker playing right back, right?
That's difficult, isn't it?
It's very difficult, isn't it? Well, I mean, I
just think
if Reece James is fully fit and firing,
but he's just so
Trent wasn't fit for this. We wanted to see him again in that midfield role, didn't we?
I just think the thing with Kyle Walker, like you mentioned Reece James there, and whilst injury issues aside, the other thing that we've not necessarily seen is him have a good performance in England top yet. And so it's, that can change, and you'd hope it does change. Trent, I guess, is the injury issues, and also now where he'll be playing, possibly. But I think one of the most consistent players under Gareth Southgate his entire time there has been Kyle Walker.
Yeah,
I think he's somebody really, if we're being deadly honest, probably has to continue starting there, even when it comes to the Euros. Like, he just doesn't look like he's dropping off anytime soon.
Yeah, fair enough. No, I didn't really have any issue. I mean, you can make a case for all 4 of them.
No, you could, yeah. Trippier too.
Reece James is the biggest concern because I was looking at it last week. Reece James hasn't started 7 consecutive league games since May 2021.
Yeah.
Since before you guys won the Champions League, for 3 managers ago.
Mate, you're telling me. You're telling me.
Before if you include Bruno.
Well, exactly. So it's
great guy,
absolutely
Bruno,
mad.
as well.
Does need to get fit, but yeah, it's the sort of position where you could make a pretty good case for all of them and not really
and we will.
feel too big a disaster.
Keep in mind, probably a couple of weeks beforehand, I'll be sitting here screaming that Reece James will be starting for
I want
England.
Trent in the starting 11 somewhere, but
okay.
Yeah.
I think we've probably discussed England enough, haven't we? Should we move on to Germany?
disaster.
Germany, yes.
Disaster class.
Wow. It couldn't have got any more wrong for Hansi Flick. I mean, he was already under the cosh, wasn't he? I think one negative result from these two international games would probably have signalled the end of Hansi Flick, but a 4-1 battering at home to Japan, it actually doesn't get any worse than that, does it? And it is now just a total meltdown in Germany, isn't it? Because the managerial candidates potentially replacing, don't feel like the most natural fits any of them really right now from my perspective.
If it happened earlier, I wonder if Tuchel would have possibly jumped in there and taken over instead of obviously the Bayern one, which happened quite last minute.
They've won 4 of their last 16 matches, Germany.
Yeah, it's not great.
And they've been knocked out of the last 2 World Cups of the group stage. That is shocking.
Getting up to like the biggest underachievers in world football at the moment, to be honest, given the crop of talent that they've got at the moment.
Do you think it's that good?
We
were having a bit of this debate earlier.
I think it's really good in attacking areas, to be fair. So aside from really maybe a superstar number 9, but Wirtz, Musiala, Sane,
that is the problem, isn't it?
Gnabry,
they're having to play
Gundogan,
Havertz up front.
I know.
He can't play up front.
Not ideal, but it's not he should be a perfectly serviceable,
But he's not, is he? He isn't.
But they've got
domestically or on
Yemi coming through.
Level.
I don't know. They've got Timo Werner who can do a job at international level. It's not the most amazing crop of, but I think actually the biggest weakness in their 11 is their fullback areas, to be honest.
Yeah,
I don't think it's that good. They're
Kimmich
playing Schlotterbeck at left back. Which is really bad because he is probably their best centre back now. Definitely more consistent than Rudiger in a back 4.
Can I just say he was
great?
What
was Rudiger doing?
Rudiger was not up for it.
What was he doing?
He phoned it in, didn't he?
It was not good.
It felt like
He just doesn't
phoned
sprint.
it in.
He just like
even for the
jogs
other
back.
goal, the one that he doesn't go back for, where he gets pinched in the midfield, it's just like he just lies on
They
the floor.
were all over the place. It was like they'd never played together. And yeah, it was embarrassing, and it's the second humbling at the hands of Japan in what?
Weird as well
8-9 months.
I thought weird as well not to play Musiala. He's like one of the best talents in Germany right now.
But surely he was injured. He wasn't even on the bench.
Wirtz is very good as well. I mean, Wirtz is. I think that's not too big a drop off either way. But I don't know. I think the way that Germany have gone about it. We used to know them as that sort of clock phrase of mentality monsters. They're just not at it mentally at all in the last few. They should have got to at least a semi-final in the last 3 tournaments. They've been nowhere near.
I don't feel like you can blame Germany for taking Hansi Flick on. Like his Bayern Munich record was second to none.
And he'd been part of the national team.
Incredible, part of the national team. It all kind of made sense. I just guess, sometimes these things don't work out. We see it happen in football all of the time, probably more so than success in football. But
it is mad that he's the first Germany manager in history to be sacked, though. Like that is pretty.
They don't normally need to sack him because they walk away after having
won. I think there are some good players in that team, but I do think there is a large scale problem with like quality. I don't know. For me, they feel miles off the talent level they had previously. The back line is all over the place. I think like the fact they can't get Kimmich into the midfield role is a problem.
But they do have Goretzka. They've got Gundogan. They've got Emre Can.
Gundogan, fantastic player, but 32 now. Emre Can past his best as well. Leon Goretzka.
Debates about what his best for him was, but
big debate going on at Bayern Munich now about whether he should in fact be a starter in that side or whether he was going to be replaced by Pellegrini when he came in. So like a good player. So the midfielders' problems, like the number 9, the fact that Füllkrug is having to play and be a significant impact player for them is just like worrying.
I haven't watched them over the last 8-9 months and really thought it's really like their attacking areas that have struggled. It's
the back line.
They're conceding so many goals down the flank, so many simple goals. Japan didn't have to do anything. I mean, credit to Japan, but they didn't have to do anything, out of this world to get through. There were so many 1-on-1s, so many 2-on-1s. It was pathetically easy from a Germany perspective. And now, they're linked with Nagelsmann, probably be the dream candidate. Does he want to take on the Germany job?
Is that the dream candidate? Does it fit? I don't know. I always feel like when people are like, Pep's the perfect candidate for an international role. Does it fit? Because he clearly spends and puts so much emphasis onto the tactical element of football and the training ground and building patterns of play that Nagelsmann's very similar. Does it work only having players for 2-3 days a month?
He needs his next job to be a surefire success as well. He can't really, because otherwise he just won't be in the talking for those big jobs. And the Dortmund job, Edin Terzic hasn't started this season particularly well at Dortmund. Nagelsmann at Dortmund, it would complete a move to all the big 3 before he's 42 or something. Which would be kind of mental. Maybe he's got ambitions to go on in club manager. He'll probably also back himself to be in the discussion for Real Madrid job.
I do tend to agree though with international manager. I do think a big part of it is your aura and like the way of like getting morale and getting it. It's very much about like building a mentality monster, as you mentioned earlier. And if they have that tactical side to it as well, that's fantastic. I mean, see it happen quite often in international football, because at times it is just kind of getting down to getting the players on your side and fighting for you, rather than, because you only have them for what, a couple of weeks.
I think that's what like stung Luis Enrique. Like, great coach, tactical coach, but like when you put him in a side that you can only work with the players for a week every 3 months, it's really difficult. It's really, really difficult to build patterns of play.
Deschamps with France as well. Like, I mean, at times we've been here saying, how have they not sacked him yet already? And he
has won a World Cup, though.
That's what I mean. Like, he has a fantastic relationship with those players to get them there. And he made it to the World Cup final, not necessarily playing exciting football.
I mean, the other options though on the list, the top 5 candidates with the bookmakers. Obviously, we've spoken about Nagelsmann. Jurgen Klopp. It's laughable. It is like literally laughable.
Not right now.
Well,
it's laughable,
crazy things have happened, but I would say, now it's impossible.
Yeah, he said previously that he would never ditch Liverpool mid-season for the national team job. He's not about to start now. It's too close to the Euros for him to have any major effect there. And Liverpool on the up again.
Could have a good season.
Yeah.
That's laughable in my opinion. Which leaves Zinedine Zidane.
Going to Germany, I just don't feel like he doesn't. He's always spoken about, like, well, it's also the language barrier, right, as well, I think, for him. Like, he's been spoken about going to the Premier League a couple of times and never happened. He obviously knows French and Spanish fantastically, and those are the kind of the jobs that he's always been rumoured to go to or been to. I guess Italy is always a place that having spent time with Juventus, but I just feel like Germany would not be him at all.
They've also never had a foreign coach. So I know we'll probably touch on it now, but Louis van Gaal I think is the favourite, but they've never had a foreign coach. Oliver Glasner as well.
Louis van Gaal only had his surgery from cancer 2 weeks ago. Like, he doesn't find out.
Great tournament manager though.
Yeah, he is a good tournament manager, but he doesn't find out his results from the surgery until September the 19th. I just can't see a world in which they go for Louis van Gaal and are in talks with Louis van Gaal when he's still potentially, ill, and there's all that sort of thing going on in his personal life. Like, he's surely going to focus all his energy on that, and I understand it would be an amazing opportunity for him, but some things are more important than football, aren't they? I think Oli Glasner is clearly the number 1 candidate right now, isn't he? And
but he is Austrian, and they've never had an Austrian coach. But yeah, he's available.
They're going to have to go for someone that's not German.
I was just looking here. Obviously, I was wondering who their under 21 manager is. A guy called Antonio De Salvo, who's German-Italian.
You're a fan of his, Zach?
Well, no, more so just like sometimes, obviously, especially maybe just for the time being,
the Lee Carsley effect.
They might call up one of the
Southgate
manager possibly.
Possibly.
I think
they're going to have to get someone that's not German. They're going to have to break tradition here because we're too close to a Euros now. And the shocking thing is, it's a home Euros for Germany.
Yeah.
Like, they should be coming into this as one of the outstanding favourites, given it's on home soil. It's going to be an absolute epic, and they're not. They're scratching around for a coach. It's bad times.
Jupp Heynckes? Give him a call.
Get
him back
again. Surely not. Let's keep rolling on then. I think we should touch on the Luis Rubiales stuff yesterday.
Finally.
Yeah,
he's finally gone. Resigned live on Piers Morgan tonight. What a way to go.
What a way to go out. I mean, I think it was 21 days after the World Cup final. Should have
21 days of carnage.
Probably should have gone the day after, the 2 days after. Just got that situation horrendously wrong. Felt so sorry for Jenny Hermoso in that situation. The whole handling of it, accusing her of lying. It's just pathetic behaviour, really. But yeah, it went on for way too long.
No, I completely agree. Yeah, completely agree. Like, it's so bad it took this long, right? And I mean, even before this as well, we saw kind of the shambles that the Spanish kind of FA had going into the Women's World Cup, and all that happened before too. So maybe there were arguments that they should have been looked into before that properly. But yeah, no. Well, hopefully we'll see a change now, and obviously going forward things can.
I mean, the handling of this top to bottom has been an absolute disaster, hasn't it? I mean, when with Jorge Vilda only got sacked last week, didn't he?
Tuesday, and he still. Did you see his statement of just like, still don't know why I've.
Incredibly bizarre. I think these guys just don't understand what they've done wrong, which is maybe the most worrying thing of the whole situation. We'll also talk about Antony, shall we? Because of course Man United have announced that he will not be returning until further notice. That's after the winger was dropped by Brazil this week following the initial allegations made by his former girlfriend Gabriela Cavalin, and later appeared on Brazilian TV to deny those allegations. So he's not going to be coming back for a little while for Manchester United. They haven't put a time length on that, have they? The statement is out on the Manchester United website, so you can read that and Antony's statement as well. What does this mean for United? I suppose is the big question here, because obviously short on wingers.
Well, the
following
Sancho situation as well. You said they were having talks today,
I
though,
think
right?
that was a report in the Telegraph this morning. James Ducker was saying that the showdown talks today. Obviously, Erik ten Hag took a few days off the international break. Jadon Sancho wasn't included in the England setup either, so probably was given a few days off. They'll be returning to training today. You would expect those talks are going to be pretty spicy, but you would also, I would expect that Erik ten Hag is probably going to try and lay down the law a little bit in them, whilst also trying to salvage the relationship.
Yeah, I mean, I think it'd be very smart of United to make sure they salvage the relationship. Like, I still think there's a player that can be of use to Manchester United there in Jadon Sancho. I was just thinking then, it's crazy to think, if you'd have said maybe 5 years ago, like the England wingers in 5 years' time, who are they going to be? People probably would have said Jadon Sancho and Callum Hudson-Odoi. Callum Hudson-Odoi was another one who obviously was being rated. I actually remember him getting a call-up as well in a friendly. But yeah, I think it would be in United's best interest to make sure that they can kind of fix a relationship with Sancho and have him kind of have him as a player that's at least on the bench, right? We were saying that obviously Garnacho's there and maybe he'll be the guy to kind of come in at that right wing position. But Garnacho's so young, and we've seen him when he starts, he's maybe not as good as he is as an impact player coming on, right? And so if he doesn't kind of if he didn't hit the ground running in that starting position, then you're going to need someone like Sancho. Otherwise, you're looking at, and to be fair, it might actually be very good, but playing Mason Mount on the right wing. Yeah,
well, I think a lot of United fans, if you were to ask us United fans now, who do you want to see on the right? I think pretty much every single United fan wants to see Facundo Pellistri be given his chance. You know, every time he's come on that right-hand side, he's been extremely impactful. He's very, very direct. He starts for his nation, Uruguay, which are a pretty top-level nation as well. Like, he couldn't have done any more to deserve a shot in the first team. So I think most Man United fans, me included, we'd like to see Facundo Pellistri be given the opportunity to play out on the right, rather than Garnacho kind of being forced to play out of position. He's more of a left winger, sort of in the Rashford mould, that wants to come inside than a player that's going to beat a player on the outside. But I would imagine Erik ten Hag does go with a front three of Rashford, Højlund, Garnacho.
I think he should go Mount.
But Mount's injured, man. Mount's injured for the next month, isn't he?
Still out for that long?
Yeah.
Wow.
So I think if in the absence of Mount, I think when Mount returns, you're going to probably see him and Bruno fairly dynamic, interchanging between right and the 10. Both of them can play that role. We saw large periods of last season where Bruno Fernandes was playing out on that right-hand side. I do think you lose something from his game.
Definitely.
I think he's better centrally.
I actually thought he was all right at that, but yeah, I agree. I
think he's more of a creator in that central role, but we didn't have a Mason Mount last season who can also play that role, so I think hybrid. United's best 11 for me includes Amrabat, Casemiro, Bruno Fernandes, and then Mount on the right. I would start Mount on the right anyway, probably ahead of Anthony, even if he wasn't on an extended leave. But I just want to see Facundo get his chance, man. Like, he's earned his chance. He has not played enough minutes for how well he's played in his impact substitute appearances.
Why was, like, you may not know, to be fair, but why was no loan move or anything sorted for him then if he wasn't kind of going to be a...
Well, there was talk of a loan move, but then Erik ten Hag opted to keep him because he felt he could have an impact on the first team. So, like, I think there was rumours of other Premier League interest and interest from La Liga, and of course he spent time out on loan previously, but he's been so good when he's played that I think Erik ten Hag wanted to have him as the backup to Anthony, because he is the only other natural right winger in the squad. Everybody keeps talking about, could we play Rashford? I don't want to see Rashford touch the right hand side of the pitch. I don't want to see him touch it.
Don't move your best
Get him out back out left, please God. This cannot end with Garnacho starting on the left and Rashford on the right. Please, just keep Rashford on the left at all.
It'd be very weird to move Rashford to that right wing.
It has happened.
The good thing is you have a few more options than you did in central midfield. Like Eriksen's now back from injury. Amrabat's now in there as well. So you could hypothetically go...
Amrabat injured on international duty.
Oh, I missed that. Okay, that's pretty gutting. Because I was saying that you could probably go Casemiro, Amrabat, Eriksen, and then Bruno right. Just for a couple of games as well.
How bad was the injury to the youngster that you had in pre-season?
Kobe Mainoo. Still a couple of months away. It's a big old injury list. Obviously, Varane's out for a month.
Well, not what you need.
Luke Shaw's out as well. Fingers crossed, Lissandro. It didn't seem like that was a major injury. It's just more of an impact to that broken foot he had the other day, last season. But then in midfield, we really need Mount back. Like, we could really, really do with Mount back. Yeah.
Just some really bad... Well, it's not even luck, because obviously these allegations are nothing to do with luck if they are true. But for Man United, Sancho... the Greenwood situation, the Anthony situation, all playing in the same position. That's a lot of problems to try and deal with for Ten Hag in one position. It's almost unheard of.
Yeah, not amazing.
Not amazing. Finally, let's talk a little bit about Spurs signing Vuskovic.
Yes.
Doogie, do we know anything about young
very little. I've never watched him play live, but I've seen some nice compilations on Twitter. But people in Croatia are quite excited about him. He's a 16-year-old centre-back who plays for Hajduk Split. Luka Vuskovic, his brother, plays for Hamburg in the Bundesliga 2. And yeah, he's highly thought of. He was linked with Man City and PSG, but Spurs have got him. He's not joining until 2025. So when he's 18, which is probably good for his development, really. But it seems like a bit of a coup if things are to be believed on Twitter, which you're never quite sure about.
Yeah, Fabrizio coming in yet again, even in the off-season, working on the transfer. So yeah, Spurs are going to be signing Luka Vuskovic from Hajduk Split, so keep your eye on him. He won't be arriving, like Doogie says, until 2025. Is there anything else we want to touch upon, boys? Bit of a shorter episode this week, but it is the international break.
Yeah, it's been a tougher one. I don't know, nothing off the top of my head right now.
No, not really. It was quite a quiet weekend. It was good Rugby World Cup, but we won't talk about that. But yeah, Team Talk's coming back on Wednesday. Hopefully.
Yes. We were struggling to think of another thing to put out on Wednesday, so we're doing Team Talk again. I do want to keep it fortnightly. Yeah, it's 100%. We all love shooting it. I just sometimes worry that obviously when you make it so frequent, people are less keen to watch it. But we'll see. But I'm sure we'll talk about that. On Wednesday.
Yeah, exactly. And you can watch Sunday Vibes, of course. The Explain came out on the weekend. We need to talk, all the usual good stuff. Sorry this was a little bit shorter, but it is the international break. We're back with an extended version next week when the Premier League and the rest of Europe returns. Much looking forward to that. Thanks very much for watching, everybody. We'll see you later. Goodbye.